Thanks for joining us today because we have a ton of content to share with you. And I've got my good friend Majd Madina with me today. And I'm so excited that he's going to be sharing this content with you because it is demystifying is exactly the right word we need to use. This is a complicated topic, and he is a genius at breaking it down. So I can't wait to get into this, and I'm going to launch right in right now, and we're going to get going and kick it off. For those people who are on the call today who don't know me, my name is Wiese. I'm president of Marketing Copilot. I am a Microsoft MVP. I've been working in the tech sector for 30 years. I've written a couple of books. I run a podcast, which I'm very, very proud of, Women Talk Tech. And I've been spent the last 10 years in the Microsoft channel. I have to say the last 10 years have been confusing. And if it wasn't for my good friend, Majd Madina, I wouldn't be able to figure this all out. So Majd, take a minute, introduce yourself to our audience today.
All right, thank you so much, Marie. That was an awesome intro, and it's an absolute pleasure. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. So my name is Majd Madina. I've been stuck within the Microsoft world for 20 years like maybe next month. And I started my career with Microsoft as a product marketing manager back 20 years ago when everything was just partners first. We did not sell through customers, and I always had a partner-facing role throughout the 20 years of my life. So 7 years in after Microsoft, I switched, and for the last more than 10 years, I've been working with indirect providers that you might know, such as SureWeb and AppRiver OpenText. I was the channel marketing manager for Microsoft, and yeah, Microsoft partners have always been my life and my career. I absolutely love working with partners, and that's why this program right here that I'm partnering up with Marie on is really, really dear to my heart, because the one thing I love to do more than anything is to get on calls with partners and help them. And Marie really found the perfect term: demystify the Microsoft programs, the benefits, and help them make money. Every single time I talk to a partner, and you'll see throughout the slides that if you're doing like 7K or more in monthly revenue with Microsoft, you're most probably leaving some money on the table. It's my passion and pleasure to help you get that money, because yeah, it's much better that you get what these guys owe you than keeping it with them. So
now,
yeah,
I'm going to be bold. I'm going to be bold and make a statement. And for all of the people on the call today, and for those people who listen to the recording after the fact, if Majd doesn't know the answer, it probably doesn't exist as an answer, because I've been working with Majd for close to 10 years now, and when he's been in various roles at various organizations, and this guy knows it. So you might have sat in on other sessions. I myself sat in at the MVP Summit to the rebates and incentive programs in a presentation by Microsoft. Microsoft doesn't know all the answers. So I am particularly thrilled to have you here today. And not just that, as Majd already said, we're working on this program together. This is going to become part of the fabric of Marketing Copilot. We want to find you money, and then we want to help you execute your marketing programs using that money so that you're getting funded for all the good work you do out in the community to promote the Microsoft brand. When it comes to the Microsoft Partner Center, we understand it's confusing. It's constantly changing, and help is required. You're not going to be able to figure this out on your own in many cases. And as I said, when I sat in on Microsoft's own presentations, I was a little bit surprised at some of the stuff they didn't know about, or the way in which they thought partners were using it. So Majd made a great comment when he introduced himself. He has always been partner first, partner facing, understanding what partners are going through, having that empathy to understand how partners are running your business. They don't have time to stop and figure all of this out. That's why we've put this together, and that's why we're particularly excited about this program. I'm going to turn it over to Majd now, who's going to jump into all the details. He kicked off there with a few things. I guarantee you that if at the end of this presentation, you reach out to us and book a 30-minute call with Majd or myself, we're going to find you money. And I have watched Majd work as magic, and I think we can guarantee that. I think that's a bold statement, but I think we can guarantee it. So Just for 1 minute, I want to make sure that everybody can hear me. I've had a note from Tanya who said she can't hear me. Put a note in the chat if you're having any kind of issues with audio, and we'll see if we can work those out. We've got our producer in the background. And I also want to say you're going to have a ton of questions. And so don't hesitate to throw those questions. Thanks, Nicole. Don't hesitate to throw those questions into the chat, and we will definitely get to them. And if we don't get to them in a session, we will follow up with you one-on-one, because there is going to be a lot of detail here. And Majd, I'm going to let you kick it off. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Marie. So, yep, and thank you a million times for that awesome intro. So yeah, like what we want to do for the remainder of this call is really reduce all of the noise that Microsoft really like throws our way, right? There's so many guides. Every single incentives program, every single badge has like their 200 pagers that all link to somewhere that is always an enigma to find. And what we want to do right now is just reduce all the noise, make it super clear and simple. And you'll see as we go through that we're just like not making it basic, but just like really simplifying everything into just a clear path for partners. And we're going to be 100% transparent as to when does it make sense and when it does not, right? So just to start and get you a little bit excited, if you're any of these three, then you probably are leaving some money on the table. And as we go through the slides, you'll understand why, right? So if you're generating $7,000 or more in Microsoft revenue on a monthly basis, like if that's your spend, if you're an indirect reseller, for example, that's just your bill with your indirect provider, then most probably it really does make sense for you to hear us out, and you're probably leaving money on the table. If you're selling premium licenses, that's also another case. Like if you build your business putting like business premium first, then even if you're selling less than 7K a month, these premium licenses go into the equation and also help boost the rebates that you should be getting with Microsoft. And then finally, and I get on calls with partners all the time that are in number three. If you still have one of the legacy silver and gold competencies and you're not receiving a wire transfer from Microsoft to your bank account every month, then that one is really a no-brainer. You are definitely leaving money on the table, because one of the main benefits of badges, even though it's really unclear, is the incentives and rebates and the wire transfer basically that Microsoft sends your way every month. So we'll cover the basics for those of you who know what the rebates are, and then we'll talk about some other things that I also believe that you might not be aware of, right? So first of all, let's cover the basics, right? With Microsoft, there's multiple badges. They used to be called silver and gold competencies. Now they moved to something called solution partner designations. And these are basically the baseline badges or designations that you get with Microsoft that gives you the most important core benefits. And we will explain these because most partners do not really use them to their fullest, right? And then we'll also talk about the advanced specializations, right, which is the second level. And that's where you get to unlock things such as co-selling with Microsoft, publishing your offers in the marketplace, and activating much more incentives, such as like when you do POCs or pilots or end user trainings. You can really like just log these in and go to Microsoft with an empty suitcase and say, hey, I want $50,000 because I did these things, right? So the advanced specializations is where like a lot of money is, but the core baseline benefits are very, very important. So these can be grouped into four areas, right? First of all, it's product licenses. Now with the new badges, you get more than 200 E5 licenses, or exactly actually 200 E5 licenses, and all the licenses that you need to run your business. So if you're a customer, like we're just talking to a partner that they buy their own 50 licenses of business premium per year, and they don't want to activate a badge because they feel like this is too much investment time, and we need to get these points, and we'll go over the points and actually how easy it is to get these, right? But they feel like, hey, I'm just going to buy my own licenses, and they probably don't even know that they get all of these benefits just for the price of the baseline badge, right? And then there's,
Yeah, so I
sorry,
want
go
to
ahead.
just jump in there and reiterate that point, because I think it's a really great point. Majd and I were talking to a partner last week, and he said to even just be able to not have to pay for licenses for his own organization and get the 200 was going to be a huge cost saving for him, and he didn't realize that that was something he could access. So even if it's not a direct check you're getting, taking some cost out of the equation is a really good thing. So I just wanted to emphasize that point, because I think it's really important. Majd was able to figure that out for someone.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you. And then, yeah, the second bucket is basically all the go-to-market benefits. So it starts, of course, with just getting access to all the campaigns and the resources and the tools, which we are very happy to navigate and help you pick and choose the right ones that are proper for your business, right? But then as you go deeper into the world of benefits and understanding them, that's basically how you become a managed partner with Microsoft, how you start receiving referrals and offer and leads from Microsoft sellers. And this is where, when you publish your offer, for example, and you put it on the Microsoft Marketplace, because you have these advanced badges, you're the one who's going to show up when a customer is searching for a partner on these platforms, right? So that's the go-to-market list of benefits basically that you can get. My personal favorite, and the one where really Microsoft never talks about, even if you're on a webinar, these are the ones where even if you have a Partner Center account, you probably don't see it because you need to do a few things to make sure it pops up and shows up. And that's the incentives programs. And that's where you can unlock much more rebates and margins, basically, compared to the margins that you're receiving from your indirect provider. And 25% is not even kind of like the maximum that you can make per license. And that's really what we're going to be focusing on in the next few slides and diving into what the incentives are. And then finally, product support services are amazing if you know how to use them. You can basically get Microsoft, and these Microsoft partners that you contact through these support services, they're actually partners just like yourselves that have went through the whole process of basically reaching a point where they're seen by Microsoft. So Microsoft basically puts other partners in contact with them whenever they need support, and they can go to market with you. They can join you for customer meetings, and they can deliver trainings for you. So you get a whole bunch of incident support hours that I'm always amazed that partners don't really use. And once you get to understand how you can use them, to understand new solutions to help Microsoft join you and position solutions for your customers together, then these support hours also comes with the list of benefits, right? So to dive a little bit deeper and to just see the overall view first, these are the different membership models that a partner can have with Microsoft, right? So the first thing is the free membership, where you just sign up and you attain an MPN ID, and this way you can just transact licenses, right? And then the second one is kind of like, I don't really like it. I talk a lot sometimes to partners that just bought Action Pack. It costs like $500 a year. It gives you 5 to 10 licenses of a mix of stuff, right? And then if you need more, you have to buy them, but it doesn't activate any of the other benefits, right? It doesn't activate the core marketing benefits or go-to-market benefits, and it definitely does not activate the rebates and basically cashback incentives that you want to activate if you are selling more than 7K a month, right? And then finally, the one where we really want to focus on today is the Solution Partner Designations and the legacy competencies. And we'll talk about the madness going on here, right? Because for the last more than 10 years, they used to be called silver and gold competencies. They were a little bit easier to attain, right? But now they changed to Solution Partner Designations. And we'll talk about what's happening on in that world, because a lot of partners still own their legacy badges, right? And then finally, the step further that only like 1% of Microsoft's partners really go after is the advanced specializations. That's when you manually go through a process to tell Microsoft, by the way, we're focused on selling Teams, we're focused on selling like Microsoft Fabric or a certain solution set of Azure, and we want to go up in your radar. We want to be specialized partners. And this is where it's absolutely free for partners to go after specializations once they activate that previous badge. And here's where also we would love to help you out to understand how you can really make the most out of your Microsoft partnership through specializations, right? So we'll take a quick step back and talk about the most important element of having a badge, right? So whether you have a legacy, silver, or a gold competency, or if you already moved to the new badges called Solution Partner Designations, which of course we're very happy to simplify for you and get you to activate your badge in less than a couple of weeks, right? Including the training stuff required, all right? So the most important benefit that you get is access to these back-end rebates, right? So taking a look at Microsoft 365 modern work incentives for this year. So you can see over here, if you have one of the 6 solution partner designations or badges, or if you have any of these legacy silver or gold competencies, if you properly assign and sign up all of your customers to be properly reflected on Partner Center, so meaning if Microsoft really knows how to recognize all of your customer base, and if you submit your banking information and you sign up for incentives, then on a monthly basis, you should be making this as wire transfers coming in from Microsoft. So the core incentive is 3.75%. It's basically almost 4%. And that gets applied to all the licenses that you sell, whether they're basic or premium licenses, everything gets that 4%, all right?
And
And
I'm gonna jump in just for a second and say, the other thing that's really important about this and the work that Majd does is oftentimes people aren't getting credited for all of their licenses. They
yeah,
don't know that licenses weren't credited. So I know you're going to talk about that later, but I think that's a really important point, that you've got that 3.75%, but it becomes really good when it's being applied to everything, right?
exactly. Once it actually works, because like most partners that actually have their incentives, once I take a look into their logs and their customer associations, I realize that not everything is getting properly mapped out and recognized. And that's why we would love to also work with you once you start receiving the rebates to making sure that everything is getting plugged in correctly, right? So the accelerators is where it really becomes exciting. And that's why in our first slide, if you remember, we said, if you're selling any premium licenses, you're probably leaving a lot of money on the table, right? Because if you take a look at these accelerators, they basically get plugged in on top of each other. And that's why the maximum earning opportunity is basically for one license to receive all the incentives that are within that table, right? So if we go over them, basically Business Premium and E3 give you an extra 5% on top of the 3.75. If you're selling Copilot or E5, you're getting an extra 7% on top of the core incentive. So these licenses basically generate 10.75 in monthly cashback rebates, right? And then the biggest one is if you created the customer tenant, meaning if you introduced the customer to the Microsoft Cloud because they're on-prem or they're a brand new business starting or they're with like another provider like Google or something, as long as it's you who created the tenant for them, you get an extra 15% applied for all licenses that you're selling to them for the first 12 months. And then finally, for any of the licenses that have a calling and conferencing plan, such as Teams Phone with calling plan or just the calling plans, because basically there's no margins for these, for the price that you get it from your distributor is the same price that you basically is the same retail price. There's no margin on these. But if you have a badge and you're properly set up on incentives, you basically don't only make 20% rebate for these licenses, you also get the core incentive of 3.75, and you also get the strategic tier 1 accelerator, which is for business premium, of an extra 5%. So if we just take,
can we just, before you go to the next slide, Majd, I just want to jump in with a question from Gustavo, and you're going to love this question. If a But if a partner is a CSP partner, shouldn't all transactions be automatically recorded and thus the rebates should be paid? Great question.
That's a great question indeed, and that's called the CSP association. So there's multiple association types. There's CPOR, CSP, there's PAL, there's DPOR, right? And it all depends. If you're a CSP transacting licenses and you have your MPN ID properly synced up, you probably have some stuff working and some other stuff not really working. And there's a little chance that you're not receiving full recognition for a lot of licenses just because there's little bugs on Partner Center with the new program. So I always tell partners, before relying on just receiving these whatever Microsoft sends your way, do your homework on Excel first. You want to map out all your customers, how much you should be generating for each. And then this way, once you receive your payment from Microsoft, you need to go back in the logs, make sure that all the associations are properly tied, all the accelerators are properly applied, especially that net new customer add accelerator of 15%, because in most times, or in many times, and I don't want any Microsofties to hate me for this, it's the absolute reality. I help partners create more than hundreds of tickets so far, right? It's buggy, right? And if you know how much they should be sending you, you'll be able to go back to them and request credit or fix things. But if you just set it up and think it works,
and
you're
hope it
probably
runs.
leaving a lot of money on the table. Yeah.
And Gerald has asked like the follow-on question: how do I determine what's not correctly set up? So I think that's where you're saying you have to really dig in and make sure that you know exactly what you've sold and whether all the associations are done correctly. And if they're not, this is what Mad's just saying, you have to send a ticket because the system's buggy. It doesn't work perfectly.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
and you have to have your own like Excel file where you know exactly what they owe you and what should be applied, right? Especially for these net new accelerators and things like that, right?
And Gerald, we have an idea for you at the end of this. So we're going to show you an opportunity where we could have Madge come in and look that. Okay, and then Tanya has made
I
a
love
great.
Tanya. Is this Tanya Fortem from SureWeb? Because I have to give a shout out to SureWeb. I worked with them for many years. I actually like started this program with Matt LeBlanc, and I absolutely love SureWeb for that because they're awesome at supporting their partners.
Okay, so Tanya, I know Tanya, and thanks for being here, Tanya. She's at PAX 8 now, but she's absolutely right. Indirect providers should be helping, but Majd and I both know they don't always, and they don't take the time to work one-on-one and go into a partners panel. So Tanya, you're making a great point, but it doesn't always work that way. So, and for those people who are asking, the session's being recorded. You can go back and listen to it afterwards. You can get a full access to the deck. So drive on and show people how to make money, Madge. Show them where the money is.
Thank you. Perfect. Yeah. So absolutely, and super respect as well to PAX. So I love these two, and they do a great job supporting partners. But as Marie said, it's very difficult for them to really dive deep, right? I've been doing this for the last 10 years with indirect providers, and we just like cover the basics, and we tell partners to do it on their own. In our program, just to kind of like share it, it's 100% guaranteed, and we can only take on 10 partners because we both have a full-time job as well, and we really want to go super deep and go also all the way to the advanced specializations, all associations, and helping like go really deep. So with that, this is an example of a deal basically built on Business Premium and Copilot for M365, and it's for a net new customer, right? Someone on-prem, right? So you can clearly see that now for Copilot, for example, the margins are really slim. The actual margins, probably like a good indirect provider would give you 7% and keep 3% because the overall margin is just 10%. So if you're just relying on making profit out of that slim 7% margin, if you have rebates activated, then it's that second table right there. You get $600 just for the 3.75%. and then you get an extra 7% because you get the tier 2 accelerator for Copilot. So there's actually and it's really interesting how Microsoft is doing this, is that basically you can make 10.75% in incentives and rebates compared to the maximum of a 7 or 8% that you would do just from your indirect provider, right? So that's why I have that excluding margins between brackets, right? So for a deal of that size, you should be making around $6,500 of rebates as cashback, right? And then
can I just jump in again? Gustavo's asked another question, and he said, for the business premium and Copilot example you have on screen, what price per license are you using as the base for the calculations? Do you want to address that now, or do you want to wait till later?
Yes, I know that's a great question. So let me actually skim. So I'll answer it like in the next slide. So we don't need to go over these. These are basically just the dynamics rebates. You can see there's one more point there compared to the core of modern work licenses. And then for Azure, there's really good rebates as well. Also, especially that the Azure margins are super slim. And I have good news for you. There's an Azure SMB path now that's launching. So it's going to be also easier if you're selling Azure to get access to these. So taking back that question, great question. It's really important to know that the rebates are calculated based on what Microsoft makes, right? So for modern work licenses, for example, Microsoft gives the industry a 20% margin, right? That both the reseller and the provider share, and Microsoft makes 80%, which is called the MS Build price, and that's what basically the percentage is based on, right? So when we take a quick step back and we say, we always tell partners to first use Excel and know exactly what Microsoft owes you. That's the tool I'm talking about. We're more than happy to spend 30 minutes together to create it for you and basically list out, here are all the business basic, like this is a normal SMB partner that's selling like 300 licenses of business standard, X amount of business premium, and as follows, like 50 of these licenses. So these are the incentives that they should be receiving. And then annually, we calculate that it's like 12K that they should be getting per year. And with that, we put it on our radar and we go after activating the program, making sure the customers are properly recognized and assigned, and then we wait for that first payment to come from Microsoft. And then if there's any discrepancies, we know how to basically escalate tickets, reach out to Microsoft, request credits, fix things so that we make sure that reality is this way. But if you don't do it this way and you just set it up and you're happy with whatever is being sent and you think it's working, there's probably not everything getting recognized properly, or there is a chance. So that's why, like in that case, we would be very happy to just take a step back, look into everything with you, look into basically the log files with the reports for incentives, and show you how to basically just navigate through and make sure that everything is just set up properly.
Now we have a question. I wonder if you can take another question, Majd. Does this apply if you sell your products which are hosted on Azure? The more subscriptions I sell, the more Azure we use.
Absolutely. So it's all based on Azure consumption, right? So as long as there's machines consuming, they will count towards your badges and they will generate rebates.
Okay, fantastic.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, so moving on to the next slide, we'll take a look at the badges, right? So if you still have your legacy competencies, they used to be silver and gold. Microsoft terminated them, and we'll show you the timeline for anyone that's new, right? Like if you don't have a badge, then the only way forward is these 6 new badges or solution partner designations. If you have a legacy competency, then you can just renew it as you go until the day comes that Microsoft says, okay, no one can renew anymore. It's ending life. You need to transition over to the new program. But the good news is that the new program is not for everyone. It has issues, it has bugs. So I have a feeling, at least for the next year or two, but don't hold me to it, but at least for the next year, Microsoft is allowing people to renew on legacy. And as long as you renew for a year, you get that whole year. Like, they won't come in the middle of the year and tell you, no, you need to move to the new badges, right? So that's why if you're on a legacy, silver or gold, make sure that you're making the most out of it. Make sure that all your associations are properly tied up, and make sure that you're receiving your right benefits, and start looking into the points required for the new badges, just in case, so that when Microsoft says, okay, no more legacy competencies for upon renewal, you're ready to basically renew the following year with the new badges. And we'll make it very simple. Like, moving forward for the next couple of slides, we're just going to talk about the new badges and how it's actually not that difficult to activate them, and that they're profitable because they give you a lot of internal use right licenses, right? For example, the Azure badges, which are the first three, they give you $6,000 in monthly Azure consumption, right? So if you're using Azure, instead of paying for Azure licenses, you can just activate the badge, receive 6K of Azure, and you receive all these incentives and benefits, and then you start working your way towards the advanced specializations that get you access to basically co-sell, marketplace referrals, and all the real buckets of money for doing POCs and trainings and all these good things, right? And if you're on a legacy competency, then great, you're probably getting the best bang for your buck because they cost a lot less than the solution partner designation, so you're making more in rebates, and Microsoft is still keeping it active, which is a great thing. So you can just keep on renewing it until the day comes where we get an announcement that they really are going to terminate the program, right? Perfect. So moving on to the next slide, and how are we doing with time? 7:32.
We're doing all right. We got another 10 minutes there, and then but
Good,
we're doing great. Good questions.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Absolutely. Please keep them coming. So yeah, I already said it, but basically in October of 2022, that's when Microsoft announced the new badges and basically said no one can activate a new badge, but the people that are holding on to their badges can just keep on renewing them until they receive their points for the new requirements, right? So as soon within the year, right? So if you have a legacy silver or gold competency, if let's say today, hey, you hit your 70 points and now you qualify for the new badges, you'll basically automatically get the new title of Solution Partner Designation. And then upon your renewal, you will be able to actually pay for the new badge and receive all the product benefits that come with it, right? So with the legacy competencies, if let's say you're on silver and you have around 50 licenses of business premium and E3s, if you attain the points required for the new program today, you won't get the new internal use right license power. You'll just get the badge, and upon your renewal next year, when you renew onto the new system, that's where you'll basically be a solution designation partner with the new badge and its new capabilities, basically, and benefits packages, right? And yeah, so that's really it. Hold on to your legacy badge if you still have it, because it's cheaper and it makes you more money, right? So to take a look at the requirements, right, and we'll really simplify it. Every single one of the new badges has three elements to it. Performance, which is all about adding new customers, and that doesn't mean adding net new customers to Microsoft, right? That used to be the case with the old badges. It just means adding new customers to your own business, right? And then skilling, which is taking exams. And I know if you're like me, I took my MCSE back in the day and a few others, but if someone gives me a cheat sheet on how to pass these for free in 5 minutes, I'll take it, right? So it's legit.
I heard people are using AI for that now, Majd. I heard it's very easily you pass your skills.
Yeah, and you don't need to really pay for the exams, because now Microsoft gave us a couple of other options which make it easier to get these points. So if you have the points because you sold to like 5 customers and because you did a few deployments, which we'll discuss what customer success is. If you're just stuck on that advanced skilling requirement and you don't want to take like MS 102 and study it for 2 months, let's get on a call and I'll help you get these points in 5 minutes, and hold me on to like, yeah, hold me accountable to that. Not 5 minutes, but it's going to be a fun 20-minute call where we get these points out of the way. All right. And then finally, for customer success, it's all about activation. Right? It's all about deploying licenses. And this one is really buggy for modern work. So if you open your partner center account and you see that for modern work, which is the most popular badge, you know, we're all selling M365 licenses and it's the easier one to activate. If you see that your deployment points is just like 1 or 2, that's wrong. And we need to fix this, right? Because deployments basically means that within the last 12 months, you activated new solutions or new workloads on 40% of your customer's environment. So let's say you onboarded a customer and that customer already has like 100 licenses of business standard and they're using everything in it. But then, for example, at some point you upsell them to business premium and therefore, hey, they got Intune and they got a few other solutions, right, that come with the product. If you activate these extra solutions, it should automatically reflect into deployment points, because the more workloads you activate, the more deployment points you get. But that's why, like, I speak to partners all the time, and they onboarded like 20 customers within the last year, and they only have like 2 deployment points. So when we take a look at their usage, we realize that, hey, no, you added all these customers, you installed all these products to them, and then when we create a ticket with Microsoft, at first it was just like challenging. They will just tell you, yeah, no, you don't qualify because you still need to hit your numbers. But if you tell them, by the way, here's their tenant IDs, here's the customers, here are the products that I deployed, please fix it, then they will take a look and they will manually fix it for you. And I get on this like this process all the time, right? So don't get disappointed if you don't have enough skilling points. It's super easy to get the skilling points. And then if you don't have deployment points, that's probably not because you need to do something as regards business-wise. That's probably because you just need to fix your deployment associations with Microsoft, right? And yeah, and customers performance is all about adding new customers to your business, right? So long as the customers are 11 seats or more, right? And that's just for the modern work designation. So if you take a look here, right, for the modern work solution partner designation, we don't need to spend too much time, but you need 70 points in order to qualify. And then you get a maximum of 100 points for per badge, right? So you don't need to hit any more than 70 points, and you can't have any category show as 0, right? So if you have 70 points everywhere, but you didn't take that advanced exam, even if you don't need the 15 points for the exam, you won't qualify because you can't have any requirement as 0, right? And that's really it, right? So if
We
you
have
take
an
the
interesting
advanced exam,
question.
sorry,
We
go
have an
ahead.
interesting question from Nicole. Have you heard any plans from Microsoft to correct the bugginess in the partner portal for modern work?
Yeah, I love Microsoft. They've been my life for 20 years, but there's always these little bugs, and especially that it's a new program. And we faced also these issues when everything was moving from legacy CSP to new commerce experience. There were more bugs with Partner Center. And then for the deployment points, because they're all usage based, it's not about, hey, I'm transacting and now the customer is showing up. It's about, hey, the customer is actually using the product, and then these usage like associations have issues with them, and also there's some bugs that happen if you actually have GDAP, like granular admin privileges with your customer. This breaks things. So that's why, once again, if we go back on Excel and we figure out exactly what we did and how many points we should have, and we open up ticket with the right people at Microsoft, we can easily make sure that everything is fixed manually. And that's what I always suggest to partners.
So we just need to do a little time check, Madge. We've got about 6 or 7 minutes left, and I know we want to get to the goodies at the end. So,
Yep.
yep. I know
Sure. So I'll
you're
just
driving
fly
forward.
through these. Yeah, absolutely. So we won't take time talking about this, but basically, also, if you take a look at all of the Azure designations, they're really difficult. You have to be doing like more than $1 million in USD in revenue per year for it to actually start counting and making sense. It's only customers that are large that count, and you need to take a lot of exams that you have to renew every single year. It's not like the modern work certifications where you just take the exam, and then once the person leaves the company, or if the exam itself changes, then you have to retake it. So the Azure designations were almost impossible for SMB, but now there's going to be a new SMB path, which is basically half as difficult, right? So customers that are just spending $500 in Azure will count. There's going to be much less requirements for the certifications. Instead of like 4 prereq, it's going to be 2 prereq, and then any other unique individuals taking like more exams will just give you more points. And then basically it's much more simplified. So hey, there's going to be SMB designations for Azure. And then once you receive the designation, and once you receive your incentives and all the baseline packages, here's where the serious stuff is. It's the specializations, right? These need to be manually managed. You need to, like, let's say you activated an Azure Data and AI designation. You need to go over the requirements of each one of these other designations, understand what manual requirements need to be made. Sometimes you need to get audited by Microsoft to prove that you really offer these solutions in that way that map to and specialization. This is where you really showcase your power, right? And then once you qualify, and it's not that difficult, there are ones that are not that difficult at all. There are some that are for SMB, so don't get disappointed. But once you get access to these, you get basically on Microsoft, you become on Microsoft's radar, right? You activate co-sell, as we said. If someone is looking for you on the marketplace, you're gonna show up, so you're gonna start receiving referrals from Microsoft. And most importantly, other than just the CSP rebates, you'll unlock all of these incentive programs, right? So based on the specialization that you're doing, if you basically deliver a pilot to a customer, you can go back and claim 15K. For example, if it's like a certain solution area on Azure. If you deliver an end user training on Copilot, you can go back and unlock X amount of money, like 15 or 20K, just because you delivered the session, right? So here's where the serious incentives come in. Here's how you start to go your way, move up towards becoming a managed partner to Microsoft, because this is basically, if a seller at Microsoft is getting asked a question, they will look at, okay, where are the advanced specialization partners that can come in and help with this deal, right? And all of these, of course, are things that we can talk to you about through our one-on-one program. And it all starts with basically helping you out regardless of where you are, right? So if you don't have a badge, then it's the slide on the left here. You need to work on attaining the badge. And this example is just for modern work. And then once you activate this, you want to make sure that you're receiving every penny that you're supposed to be receiving, and that everything is working properly, because in most cases it's not. And then finally, you start to move your way toward that gray table where you target one advanced specialization, you go after it, and once you get that specialization, that's when you get into the co-sell. Hey, I'm kind of a managed partner with Microsoft, and I'm getting much more incentives, which is these. All right.
So
And yep.
I know there's a lot of detail on these slides, and these slides are going to be available afterwards, either as a booklet or just as the slides that we'll be sharing with everybody on the call today. So you can start to get into it. But I think Alexandra, Madge just answered your question about how you activate co-sell. It's really looking at this and then getting into a specialization that helps you.
Yep.
So you can keep going.
And it's easy. It's not difficult. It's easy. It just comes with first understanding of the programs, reducing all the noise. Like if you're a modern work partner, you don't need to dive into all of these guides. We'll just explain. here's the pathway. Once we especially understand what you're selling, right? We'll be able to identify things for you and create kind of like a roadmap for us to go after together, right? That's of course
Mhm.
if you'd like to work with us, and we would only make like we would only build that partnership once we make sure that the ROI for you is much more right than the
Mhm.
cost of the program, right? We'll
Right.
map it all out from day one, and yeah, depending on where you are within that whole map of the partner's life cycle with Microsoft, we'll be able to map out next steps, right? So yeah, with that, Marie,
So I know we're going to wrap up quickly, and what Majd is driving towards is the program that we're introducing today, and there'll be a one pager that you're going to be able to download. We'll get there. Is that we will work, initially in Madge has a magic Excel spreadsheet, and he makes sure
mhm,
that you're going to be getting money back above and beyond what you might be paying us to help you in the initial part of this. But we want you to find lost money, target the right designations, and manage your partner center effectively, because we know it is difficult to manipulate and manage, and you have to go in there and do a lot of work. So the program we're introducing today, which we'll give you the details of, and you'll be able to download a one pager, is that Majd would look at your invoicing to start with, and he would figure out, we don't want you to pay us money for the program that we're about to announce if you're not going to get tons more back. And so we tell you that right off the bat during a 30-minute call. We really want to understand your business model, what you already have in there, and how we could get you the quickest path to meet your partner requirements. Then we're going to set up the program for you, do incentive activation, and understand a whole bunch of things about working with Microsoft for deployment, mapping the easiest and fastest learning paths, and really getting into the nut of it, getting into the meat of it so that we can help you with that. Um, we might then work with you to do some follow-on projects that might help you understand how you can do an enhanced skilling strategies, mastering incentives, and how you can drive success and profitability. And we've got a couple of clients right now who are paying for their marketing program through this. They can go back and get their money back, and it's helping them build their business and grow their business. This is the one pager here. If you have your cell phone with you right now, just click that QR code. It will allow you to download this one pager. This is really a 6 to 8 week program that Madge would work with you on. And the first thing would be to do a complimentary 30-minute call to make sure you're going to get money back. The price is right there. The information about what we cover in weeks 1 to 4 and what we cover in weeks 6 to 8. It is a very small investment for what we're hoping is going to put lots of money on the table, but not just put money on the table. It's going to be able to show you what the path is within Microsoft to get you where you need to be based on your business strategy and your business goals. We've worked with lots of people who have started to really specialize in certain areas, and that really got them to that co-sell goal. And we were able to show them from a marketing perspective also how they could get Microsoft's attention. But Majd is the magic behind how you go in and
mhm.
make sure you're getting the right money back and that everything's working. I know we have a couple of minutes left. Majd, I just, our next step for anybody on the call, there's Madge's email address. If you would like to book a call just to understand if there's anything that Madge can help you with, and I'm quite sure he can help you. He's found $50,000 for one Microsoft partner, and there's lots of different things that he's been able to do and work his magic. And also, we're going to make the recording available so that if you want to share it with people within your organization. And I think Majd has brought a brilliant approach to digging into this. Majd, do you want to sort of wrap it up there, and sort of give your 2 cents to wrap it all up?
Honestly, all I can say is really from the bottom of my heart, like it's been 20 years I'm in that industry. As I said, like I've always been partner facing. I always put partners first. When NCE was starting, I was like the most aggressive one, shouting and kicking and screaming and saying, "You're gonna drive my partners crazy." I love working with partners, and this is really my favorite webinar that I ever delivered because it's all about me having this as kind of like a day job of just supporting partners maximize incentives, which is what I love doing the most. So I'm really excited to speaking with you. Let's get on a quick call. Let's map out how much money we can help you find, and programs and benefits and opportunities within the Microsoft ecosystem. And if it does make sense, I'm sure it's going to be, it's most important is that it's guaranteed ROI, that we put targets in place and we reach them together. And like, yeah, this would be honestly the dream job, because then I'd be working with you guys all the time to helping you do what I love doing the most, which is deciphering the enigmatic world of Microsoft together.
Okay, so there's our email addresses for everybody on the call. If you have more questions, please email us afterwards. If you think of things, we're really going to share this, spread the word. Please connect with us. And I love working with Majd because his passion for this. I have to rein him in sometimes because he knows so much. There's just so much that gets put out there, but he makes it simple for people and he helps people understand how to navigate this. So thanks so much, everyone, for being on the webinar today. Please look out for the recording. Please look out for the slides so that you can get into the details. And I really hope we can find you money, and I hope we can help you with this and demystify the complexity. Thanks so much, Majd, for sharing with everyone today.
Thank you, Maria, and thank you, everyone.